And now, tonight, the Marlins arrive, trying to take a bite out of the Big Apple and the Mets. C is for Chrysler Building. All right, I'll stop with that. It's Marlins and Mets here in New York. And you got some Cavs, too, for that matter. Out in Flushing, home of the Mets. And what a place this has been over the last couple of months as the Mets have made an incredible run to the top of the East and sit 9.5 up at start of play tonight. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to New York. Yeah, the Mets are hot. They've won 7 in a row. But Miami's won 9 of 12, and included in that was taking 2 of 3 for the Mets in South Florida.
This will be a good matchup. The Mets are still trying to clinch things. They have a magic number of 11. The Marlins are still trying to sustain the way they've played over the last 12 games, so it should be a fun 3 games.
Can Yoenis Cespedes sustain what he's been doing for the rest of the year and into October?
Well, I'm sure Terry Collins and the Mets hope that he does, but I was just thinking it could have been Carlos Gomez, but it's Yoenis Cespedes. He has been fantastic in his 40 games as a Met. A 308 average, 16 home runs, and 41 RBIs. He played so well last week that he was the National League Player of the Week. And so with great numbers, Yoenis Cespedes put up during the week. Look at that, 10 for 29, 4 home runs. If you go back a little further, he's homered in 8 of his last 12 games.
I'm with you. I don't think they're 9.5 up if it is Carlos Gomez. And it almost was. And that obviously would have taken Wilmer Flores out of the equation as well. Justin Nicolino goes for Miami in this one. And Nicolino had a really nice stretch of starts, a bump in the road his last time out.
Rich, how about this number? Justin Nicolino has had 8 Major League starts. 3 of those have been on the road. On the road, look at his numbers. 3-0 with an 0.87 ERA. Facing the Mets tonight for the first time.
Well, the Marlins will get a look at a guy that they've never seen. Logan Verrey will go for New York.
Yeah, and if you talk to some of the Marlin hitters who looked at a little video, good two-seamers, knows how to pitch, he'll use his changeup. That's what they expect to see.
When we get back, we'll speak to someone who grew up here in Flushing. Not at Citi Field, but at the Big Shade. Preston Wilson talks about the Mets, the Marlins, September and October. Shea Stadium, whether it was the tarp crew or picking up balls in the cage or just running around, you would find Preston Wilson, son of Mookie Wilson, here, and he joins us now. So who better to talk about Marlins and Mets? Press, how are you?
I'm great, man. I love being here. New York is a great atmosphere, and especially with the way the team is performing, it's a whole different place than it was earlier in the season.
Now, the Mets are obviously hot 7 in a row, but the Marlins played them and played them tough. 1, 2 of 3. What'd you see in that series?
Well, the Marlins were able to match up well. They played them really tough. They got the 2 wins, but the bats came alive. They hit .313 in that series. They got blown out one game 7-0. One game was extra innings, but the thing is they kept fighting. They kept finding a way to get runs, scratch out runs, and they played good, clean baseball. I talked to Dan Jennings, and he was really happy about it. He said he was happy about the way his team competed in that series, and they're looking forward to playing the division leaders again this series.
Division leaders, Mets. Success. What is it, Preston? Everyone talked about the great rotation, but you know the rotation was here through the first 2/3 of the season when they weren't red hot. What's happened aside from Cespedes?
They started to believe in themselves, and they've gotten other contributions from Lucas Duda, Curtis Granderson, guys whose bats may have been lagging before, started coming alive. Cespedes, I think, has been the glue, but it's been a total effort, and they're starting to believe and play good baseball.
Preston, we look forward to talking to you during the game. Have a good night down there.
All right, guys. See you later.
All right, Preston Wilson will be with us tonight in New York. The series starts. The lights go up. Oh, Broadway is dark tonight, but the ball game is on in Flushing. Checkers, epic meals, epic deals. And by Auto Nation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. Incredible weather here in New York. Logan Verrett on his way out to the mound as the Mets and the Marlins tangle for 3. Miami's lineup brought to you by JM Lexus. D. Gordon's at second, Christian Yelich in center, Martin Prado at third base. Justin Bourne, the cleanup spot. Derek Dietrich returns to left field. JT Realmuto's been on a real nice run. Ichiro has started right. Miguel Rojas still at short. Denny Echeverria still out with that tweaked hamstring. And Justin Nicolino hits ninth.
Rich, we have a couple of pitchers each making their first appearance against the other ball club. Logan Verrett 25-year-old was actually originally drafted by the Mets in 2011 out of Baylor University. He's been in 14 games, just one start this year. That start was in Denver, and he threw well. His last appearance was August 28th out of the bullpen. So Terry Collins doesn't know how much he'll get from Verrett tonight, but he hopes he gets 4, 5, 6 innings from a guy who will use a sinking fastball, lots of two-seamers, a slider, and a changeup. And he's been busy this year as far as travel arrangements. He's made 3 different stops before he finds the mound here tonight at Citi Field. Check on the defense behind Logan Verrett. Mets stand 7th in the league defensively. Cespedes, Lagares, and Kadire. Veteran Michael Kadire in right field. David Wright, Wilmer Flores, Juan Uribe, and Lucas Duda. Duda missed some games with some lower back issues. He's back in the lineup. And Travis d'Arnaud behind the plate.
And this fall evening in New York could not be better. 74 degrees. You see some wind, clear skies, low humidity. It was a beautiful day in New York, and it's turning into a nice autumn evening. This is what autumn baseball feels like, and the Mets are hopeful they can experience it all the way to late October. D. Gordon in the box. Christian Yelich, Martin Prado to follow. As the Marlins and Mets get going here. Marlins took 2 of 3 in South Florida. Mets are 10-6 against the Fish this year. Finchpenny brings you that first pitch. Verrett grooves it in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Gordon came in a double switch yesterday. And takes away. Ball and a strike from the 25-year-old out of Corpus Christi. And the bunt attempt back up against the screen. The D. Gordon batting race update brought to you by Tommy Hutton's Baseball Academy. Bryce Harper at 333. Buster Posey at 329. D. Gordon 326. You see Yunel Escobar at 321. Harper is in the lineup tonight after that tumble, getting tangled up with Derek Dietrich yesterday.
I gave us some good news, though, Rich, on D. Gordon. D. Gordon this year against the Mets, 27 for 68. That's a 397 average. So this is a good matchup for D, this ball club.
Obviously a mystery with Verrett. Pitches college ball at Baylor. It was a 3rd-round pick of the Mets. But to get to the big leagues, he had to pass through a few other organizations. He is one of those guys, and we always talk about a Rule 5 draft pick that hits it with another team. But he's a Rule 5 draft pick that flamed out and then ended up back with his original team and back in the big leagues.
You know, it's almost as if the Mets certainly remembered him, and they remembered his scouting report, and they said, yeah, we'll take a shot on this guy again.
They did not delete him from Sandy Alderson's iPhone contact list. The pitch misses in. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2011, Rule 5 pick by the Orioles in December of 14, claimed off waivers by Texas. Texas, since he was Rule 5, had to keep him in the big leagues. Once they sent him to the minors, they had to offer him back to the Mets, and they took him back. Gordon, little tapper down the line. Right loads up and just gets him with a throw across the diamond. And an out here tonight, Christian Yelich, Martin Prado, also scheduled to appear.
And talking, Rich, about Logan Verrett, the many scenarios surrounding Matt Harvey include Logan Verrett, because this is a Matt Harvey start tonight.
It's just like Broadway, Tommy. Every now and then a stand-in is going to appear when you least expect it.
These folks came to see Harvey.
That's right. He's printed on the ticket. I think they'd much rather see him in October. And that's the whole idea of it. Yelich with a 1-0 count. Uribe with a leap and a grab. And Yelich with a line drive out. 2 outs here in the first.
Well, a ball well struck. There have been some times over the last week or so, Christian Yelich has gotten his share of hits, but when he's hit the ball and not gotten a hit, he still hit it hard. And that time he lined out to Uribe.
Uribe doesn't quite have the vertical that D. Gordon has. But he has been a nice addition to the Mets. Here is Prado. Martine's been hot. A really torrid week and a half. 9 games, a .406 average.
And another one of the Marlin hitters. See the number on the bottom that's hit the Mets really well this year.
Pulls that one foul. This has been a busy place around here. I mean, the Mets just got back in town after another miracle win against the Braves, sweeping that road trip. And of course, the U.S. Open just wrapped up last night. Right across the train tracks. The Marlins team plane flew right over.
Twice.
Yes, twice. Over the stadium in that second set of Novak Djokovic's win. A 1-2-3 inning for Logan Verrett. And the Mets come to hit in the first. As the Mets try to get to their first postseason since 2006. Mets lineup brought to you by JM Lexus. Juan Lagares is in center. David Wright at third base. Yoenis Cespedes in left. Juan Uribe is the second baseman. Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher. Michael Kadire is back with a sore wrist. Lucas Duda's at first. Wilmer Flores at short. Logan Verrett will do the pitching and hit ninth.
And a good look at the 23-year-old left-hander Justin Nicolino making his 9th start. And we talked about his success, for whatever reason, on the road against Cincinnati, in Milwaukee, in Atlanta. 3-0, and the ERA on the road under 1.
And a strike to Juan Lagares, who's in center. David Wright at third. And then Yoenis Cespedes, who is in left. Mets actually giving some time off tonight to some of the regulars. That one fouled back to the screen. And that, Tommy, I think is a good illustration of just how deep this team is right now.
Well, they did that yesterday. David Wright and Cespedes did not start, so they got a little time off yesterday. I tell you what, when you look at their bench with the lineup they have tonight, and you have guys like Daniel Murphy, Curtis Granderson, Kelly Johnson, a veteran, and a guy who might be their hottest hitter other than Cespedes, Michael Conforto, all on the bench tonight. So Kadire gets the start.
Nicolino, strike 3 called. Little cutter, caught the corner. Lagares doesn't like it, and it's a perfect pitch. It's got the black, and there's one out. Here's the defense for Miami tonight.
All right, the Marlins sit 4th in the National League defensively. Dietrich's in left field, Yelich and Ichiro. Martin Prado at 3rd, making his 6th consecutive start at shortstop, Miguel Rojas. D. Gordon, Justin Bour filling out the right side, JT Realmuto behind the plate. Yeah, Rojas has started 9 of 10 games at short.
Now David Wright, and if you go back to that last Mets postseason, 2006, David Wright, a young player at 3rd base, probably thought, you know what, isn't this great, and this is going to be fun the rest of my career going to the postseason like this. Well, in 07 and 08, it came down to the last day, and both times the Marlins knocked the Mets out of postseason contention. They've not been back since 06. Wright bangs one into right center field. Yelich won't get it. It goes to the wall. And the captain of the Mets has himself a double. So this has really got to feel special for Wright. Mid-September, this team looks like it's headed to the postseason.
Anytime David Wright, he's at a point in his career where if he gets a pitch out over the plate, that is his wheelhouse, to drive a ball to right center. If you have 95 plus, you can beat him inside, but he's such a patient hitter. He got that pitch up a little bit out over the plate to get the 2-base hit.
Here is Yoenis Cespedes.
But I think, Rich, as we've seen, Justin Nicolino, when he gets in trouble, it's with pitches such as that, up in the zone.
Everybody was in trouble who pitched to Cespedes at Marlins Park. Cespedes takes a fastball up, and I suspect that he has not purchased a meal for himself in this city over the last month. At least I hope he hasn't.
Yeah, wouldn't have to.
And a strike.
And Cespedes isn't the only one hitting home runs for the Mets. They've hit 24 home runs their last 13 games. So it's contagious.
So is the MVP chant that you hear rising. Nicolino comes in and gets a strike. And that's where the Marlins are working him, and with good reason. If you saw his home runs in Miami, right center, straightaway center, arms extended, big power. Pulls that one, and it's foul.
And again, coming in with a cutter. All you have to do is watch JT Realmuto. What's he do? All right, doesn't want to give it away too soon. There it is, cutter inside, and Cespedes able to fight it off and foul it down that 3rd baseline.
That one fouled back and out of play, but as you pointed out, even Preston Wilson right before the game pointed it out, it's not just Cespedes. I mean, you can go up and down this Mets lineup, and there are guys, even a Travis d'Arnaud, who has not been here for a full season. He's had some big numbers. Lucas Duda again. 16 Wilmer Flores home runs. And of course, the young rotation. And the old guy in that rotation, Bartolo Colon. He's been pretty good. Pitch is out.
And the one guy I mentioned on the bench tonight, Michael Conforto, since August 1st, 305, 7 home runs and 19 RBIs.
And the Marlins, as we talked about, I mean, you got Miami, who's won 9 of 12. The Mets have won 7. Those numbers reflect that offensively. Wright still at second. 2-2 coming to Cespedes.
This is a pretty good battle. Saw that shot of Dan Jennings. Dan Jennings has felt real proud of the way his guys have played over the last few weeks. He likes the intensity, the defense.
Justin Nicolino and Yoenis Cespedes. Look out, everybody.
The thing about this matchup, Justin Nicolino, as we have kind of described over his previous 8 starts, not a strikeout pitcher. So he's going to have to make that perfect pitch to possibly get Cespedes to just roll over, hit a little ground ball. But certainly familiar, and we've talked about it working with JT Real Muto. They were together last year on that Jacksonville Championship Club.
Bouncer down the line. Prado gets him.
Did I say get him to roll over on a pitch, a good pitch, like a changeup right there? Nicely done by Nicolino.
So after the Wright double, Nicolino has the second out, and here is Uribe. Well, the Marlins certainly helped the Mets out by taking 2 of 3 from the Nationals. Nationals winners yesterday against Miami. An Anthony Rendon homer to start the game in Philly, and it's 1-0 Nationals bottom second. Around here, the buzz is postseason. Who's going to start? Who'll pitch to whom? A 9.5 game lead for New York on the 14th of September.
Then the other buzz and all the talk is how's Harvey going to be used leading into postseason.
The Marlins with a 5.5 game lead over Atlanta right now in 3rd place. Yeah, the Harvey situation is, I think Met fans are happy to hear that he's going to continue to pitch, but maybe a little apprehensive about how he's going to pitch if he's not used in full out starts. Uribe swings and misses.
Or as they're calling him around here, half starts, half outings. That's what Harvey will be doing up until postseason, and that just puts more pressure on the Mets bullpen, which at times has been good and at times has been shaky.
The 1-1. Well, there really is no roadmap, is there, for half starts, getting a guy to the postseason. What happens if the Mets go deep into the postseason and play long series? Dan Worthen and Terry Collins, will they be able to use and count on Matt Harvey for 3-4 starts in the postseason? Uribe gets into that one. Yelich going back, and he has got it at the track. Christian Yelich in full flight on Uribe gave it a ride, and this ball game is still scoreless. first base line that could be rented for just one game. Groups from 16 to 70. Upscale contemporary furnishings, just like Tommy Hutton's home. And it features great food and beverage options, just like Tommy Hutton's home. 1-877-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com/groups. Justin Bohr, Derek Dietrich, Ichiro fan there. Got the Japanese jersey and the Marlins jersey. Ichiro is playing. He's in the 7 spot tonight. Logan Verrett comes in an off-speed pitch for a strike. Bohr, Dietrich, Real Muto in the 2nd.
Over the last month or so, Justin Bohr has seen his fill of off-speed stuff. And I think he's done a pretty good job in making the adjustment.
Fastball up and in. It catches the bat, and it's a strike. And Bohr, one of those guys that, having watched him for half a season, very intriguing with his power, especially in this day and age when power seems to be lacking in the game. This guy's got a lot of it. 15 doubles, 16 homers in 336 at-bats.
It's interesting, the alignment the Mets have, not a full-out shift, because Flores, the shortstop, is still on the left side. But Uribe in shallow right field, and David Wright is way off that third baseline.
And C.B. Buckner out there does not have a glove. He's between Uribe and Flores. Down goes Bohr.
There's that good changeup from Verrett. Anytime a pitcher has a good changeup, the whole making of a good changeup is the arm action. And it looks like Verrett has pretty good arm action.
Derek Dietrich now. Dietrich getting the start back in left.
Had an adventurous few innings at second base yesterday.
Yeah, the collision with Bryce Harper got a lot of play nationally on a ball slowly hit to the left side. Dietrich hustling to get to the bag right after a play in which he almost didn't get there. And he thought that Martin Prado was going to make that play and throw across to him. Bryce Harper figured it would go to the shortstop and he'd round second. One ends up in the glove of Wright, and they both ended up at second base at the same time. Harper in full flight got clipped, tumbled, came out of the game, but as we told you earlier, he is in the lineup tonight.
Yeah, all turned out well for Nationals fans.
Well, for one night.
Yes.
Now Real Muto. The last homestand was a great snapshot of JT Real Muto. His skills, his potential, what makes him a really, really interesting catcher. Of course, you had that inside the park home run, which was fun. You had
the outside the park home run.
The outside the park home run. That's fun too. Lots of doubles, balls in the gap.
Some tremendous base running.
Some good throws from behind the plate.
And things that you don't see, the intangibles, the leadership qualities that he has.
Oh-2 fastball is up to the former Oklahoma high school quarterback, JT Real Muto. Breaking ball clobbered foul. Does the BB on the kid's back, is that ball boy or bat boy?
Well, it's interchangeable because one night you could be down the left field or right field line, so then it's ball boy. And then one night you could be in the dugout near the on-deck circle, and it would be bat boy. So it's interchangeable.
And that guy just delivered baseballs to the home plate umpire, so he's, in that sense, was a ball boy as well. Real Muto, this one is foul. And a much easier play for BB. You know what, Tommy? What if it was female? You'd have to go BG, right?
I think they have that. They're able to change. They're Velcroed on.
San Francisco BD. Ball dude.
Ball dude.
Or dudette.
That's a good question. In San Francisco, have we seen a dudette? Usually we see ball dudes.
I'll be honest with you. There are dudettes around Major League Baseball that play foul balls better than dudes.
Absolutely.
He's having a good inning down there. His range factor is rising with every play.
We had one of our favorite ball girls in Baltimore, or in Washington. In Washington, D.C.
That's right, Laura.
Laura, the ball girl.
Yes.
Had a great series.
Infamous. 1-2. Got him. That was quite an at bat. And Barrett won the battle. Scoreless here in New York. You can go behind the scenes on social media with Fox Sports Florida and your Marlins telecast all season long on Instagram and Twitter at Fox Marlins. Of course, tomorrow night, emails and tweets. We have some incredibly fun and creative, silly surprises tomorrow night. So you don't want to miss tomorrow night's telecast. And certainly you can join us on social media. Travis d'Arnaud, one of the hidden heroes for the Mets, has not had a full season. Remember, he's been on the DL twice. Once with a broken hand, he was hit by a pitch against Miami. When he's been in there, though, he really has produced. If you go August and September, his OPS is .985, on base plus slugging. That one gets by Rojas. And d'Arnaud has a hit. The next closest catcher is Buster Posey at 861. And d'Arnaud north of 985.
I think it's a perfect example, Rich, of every team, and the Mets included. Every team has injuries, and they've been able to get by with that. Anthony Recker, Kevin Plawecki filled in, did a pretty good job behind the plate.
Giancarlo Stanton, if you're just joining us, took batting practice today with the team. He is in town to see a hand specialist. And after that evaluation, as Dan Jennings said, it's kind of up to Stanton to decide if the hand feels good enough to give it a shot in these final weeks of the season.
It was just kind of good to see him taking some swings in the batting cage today during batting practice.
Met fans say the same about Michael Kadire. It's just good to see him back. He had an injection in his wrist, a cortisone injection, on September 1st. When he's been here, especially since early July, he's hit pitches in the games that he's played since July 6th, and it's only been 27 of them. He's hit 364.
And he's loaded up with pine tar on that bat, too.
That's right. His bat, his helmet.
If you get in on him enough and jam Kadire, the ball's going to have pine tar all over it.
So whoever caught that one may have gotten a little bit of
possibly, yeah,
gooey stuff. Two runner goes, big jump, and a squiggly ground ball that spins away from Bohr. He gets it and gets the out. Here's the sight that Marlin fans and the Marlins themselves were pretty excited to see.
You know, we know that he's been doing that at home in the cage, but it's nice to see Giancarlo outside, BP, taking a few grounders, making sure everything feels all right on that left hand.
Lucas Duda. This is another guy that's had a nice season. 29 doubles, 21 homers. His breakout year of last year, 30 homers. And he drove in 92.
But another guy who's missed some time.
Fastball in.
Duda got off to a really nice start. Had 9 home runs through May. And remember, he had that stretch where he had really improved and was hitting left-handers well. Comes into the game tonight hitting lefties at 296.
Lifts one into left center. Yelich with his hand out just to alert Dietrich. And here is Wilmer Flores.
Toast of the town. Safe to say that about Wilmer Flores?
If the Mets win the World Series, two things. They'll think back to that night in which Wilmer Flores was crying, thought he was traded to the Brewers, Carlos Gomez, and of course subsequently the next few nights he hit that game-winning home run in extra innings. And the other thing is, in the victory parade, the car or the float that's carrying Cespedes and Flores will be the most popular ones. Those are That second one, that's a big if, but still, it's a possibility.
Well, and in Flores, a young kid who was signed as a teenager in 2008 by the Mets, so he's been in their organization since that time.
He and Ruben Tejada have absolutely clobbered the fish with big homers, grand slams, bases clearing doubles over the last 2 seasons. Tejada and Flores. You know, take your pick. Both guys have hurt him.
Yeah, and it's funny because they're the least of the guys that you're going to start concerning yourself with in your scouting meeting. But the way they've hit the Marlins, you got to think about it.
Verrett.
Not a lot of opportunities. Just 0 for 4.
Mets had a great road trip, that's for sure. Won 7 in a row. Into right, shallow. Ichiro's there, and he makes the catch. And Nicolino gets out of trouble here in the second. Still scoreless in New York. You've got New York's own Tom Kohler and Jacob deGrom. That is a 6:30 start for Marlins Live. Tom Kohler. Last time he faced the Mets. Now remember, in his career he had struggled against him, but 2 earned runs in 6 innings.
Yeah, for Tom Kohler, his last 2 starts have been outstanding. Of course, last time out against Milwaukee, the time before against the Mets. It's here at Citi Field. He's had some struggles against New York, but you know what? He's been throwing the ball well, so you throw that out the window.
Marlins got a 6-5 win in that ball game. Logan Verrett in his first 2 innings looks like Syndergaard, Matz, Harvey, deGrom.
Well, you know how we talk about hitting? It's contagious. Sometimes the same thing. You get a bunch of starters that are throwing the ball well, and you slide somebody in. They just kind of go with the flow.
Here is Ichiro, 4 hits over the weekend. And Verrett misses down low. Miguel Rojas, and then the pitcher, Justin Nicolino. Ichiro sends that one out in left center field. Legatas, the Gold Glover, makes the catch.
Ichiro playing in his 136th game.
That's a real oddity, isn't it? Because with Adeiny Echeverria being on the shelf the last 10 days, you would never guess who the games leader is for the Marlins. Etch was an Iron Man for the Marlins, not missing any games for a while, and then hamstring has knocked him out. Ichiro looks like he's going to end up leading this team in games played. Now, not starts, because a lot of his appearance have been as a pinch hitter or a defensive replacement, but a lot more starts than you thought he would get this year.
Yeah, I think tonight's start number 81 for Ichiro.
Rojas fouls it off, and it's 0-2, which is good news, and it's bad news. The bad news is he's getting those starts because of the injuries to Giancarlo Stanton, early season back issues from Christian Yelich.
Ozuna being sent down.
Rojas sends that out left center field, and Legares gets there in time. Just 2 outs.
You hit a ball like that, sometimes someone on the bench will say to you, wrong guy. Hit it to the wrong guy. Gold Glover out there. Legares covers a lot of ground.
In Philly, it's tied 2-2. Nationals in Phillies. Wouldn't that be fun if Jonathan Papelbon came in and had to save a game tonight?
Well, Bryce Harper is homer. His 37th. Nicolino with 1 base hit. He's even getting the changeup from Logan Verrett. Probably why Verrett had success in his only other start at Coors Field. Throw a good changeup. That can be successful in that ballpark.
That's at the knees, and Nicolino goes down. Logan Verrett has retired all 9 that he's faced. Only way to guarantee access to the 2017 All-Star Game at Marlins Park by placing a deposit for a 2016 Marlins season ticket down. Full season ticket plans start at just $499. 1-800-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com/tickets. Justin Nicolino, 23-year-old out of Orlando, has had a really nice run in the big leagues. Tommy pointed out, for whatever reason, on the road, he's been darn near perfect. 3-0 record with an ERA less than a run.
You know, the other thing I like too, Rich, in this day and age of talking about pitch counts and innings, last year in that really successful Double-A season, Marlins minor league pitcher of the year, Nicolino at Jacksonville threw 170 in a third innings. Coming into this game with his starts in New Orleans and his 9th start here, he's right at about 165. So he's been consistent in building things up.
Top of the order for the Mets: Juan Lagares, David Wright, Yoenis Cespedes. Pitch fouled back. Nicolino almost ended up playing college baseball, and he had committed to the University of Virginia. Virginia has had a nice run lately, both in the ACC and in the College World Series. But in 2010, the Jays took him in the 2nd round out of University High School, and the Orlando native signed. Tapper, Gordon, backhands, and couldn't get it out of his glove. Lagares runs well, and he was kind of leaning out over the plate when he swung at it, which gave him a running start to first.
We get so spoiled. We've gotten spoiled over the year watching D. Gordon make this play, and I think he makes it if he gets it out, but watch it kind of pop out right there. He fumbles with it, didn't have a good grip, and Lagares gets the infield single.
Now Wright, who blasted a double into the gap in right center field.
One thing about the Mets and David Wright, they'll have a very fresh veteran third baseman, because all the time spent on the disabled list. Wright making just his 16th start since he came off the DL.
Right center, Yelich around it, makes the catch. Lagares is coming. The throw from Yelich. He's out of there. The Gold Glover in center field throws out the Gold Glover at second. They both won Gold Gloves in the National League in the outfield last year. Yelich was in left all of last year, but Preston Aduti in center. He makes a really nice play.
This is nice because this is an area of Christian Yelich's game that he's worked on a lot, and that's his throwing. There was a time he really plants and gets set well on that. There was a time that a lot of people thought when he signed he'd be a first baseman because of his throwing arm, his arm strength. He came up with a bullet and right on the money.
That's a nice double play to get. And here is Cespedes. A prolonged at bat in the first with a lot of foul balls. Cespedes bounced out on a changeup to third base. Hits that one to left and deep and way out of here. It is his world, and Met fans are just living in it right now and loving keeping it. Cespedes hits another one, his 35th of the season.
His 17th as a Met. Remember, first time up, they pitched him in a lot. See where the target was? It was 86 miles an hour, probably a cutter that they wanted in, but it didn't get in enough. And boy, you make that mistake to a guy who's as hot as Cespedes, and it's going to end up there.
Wow. Now that's what Christopher Cross had in mind when he sang Sailing on Cespedes demo DVD that his agent sent to major league teams. Remember that funky workout highlight DVD?
Well, he's doing all kinds of squats and jumping.
Yes.
Kind of the workout you do, Rich.
That's right.
Just before a big tennis match.
Little CrossFit baseball with Christopher Cross as the backdrop. Two balls, two strikes. To Juan Uribe, who lined to deep center. But how big is the Yelich play now?
Yelich's first assist from center field. Cespedes, a part of another interesting group of players, not many, that have hit 15 or more home runs for an American League team and a National League team in the same season. Cespedes with his 17th as a Met. Hit 18 in the American League. Mark McGwire, Carlos Beltran, Manny Ramirez, and Alfonso Soriano. The other guys to do that.
That's an exclusive group. No swing. Dale Scott making an appearance down at first base. No doubt saddened by the loss of the Oregon Ducks. He's a big Oregon Duck fan. Michigan State with that big win. There's a look at the swing.
Oh, close.
Dan Iasonia's behind home plate. There's Dale Scott. C.B. Buckner, Lance Barrett out at third. End of the bat. Weird bounce. Gordon has it and just gets him. That was close. Yoenis Cespedes. Again. This one to the upper deck. And Preston Wilson joins us now. Hey, Preston, how are you?
Hi, guys. That was a great shot by Cespedes. D. Gordon's coming up now. We know about his base running. We know about his gold glove caliber defense. But there's one thing a lot of people may not know. D is second on the team in slugging percentage. He came into the night at 406. Justin Bohr tops the list at 443. So D. Gordon, the slugger as well.
That's good news for D. Gordon, Preston, but not so good news for the Marlins, right? I mean, Stan's obviously not active, so he's not on that list. Ozuna hasn't had that type of year. Yelich has been building towards it with a really nice second half, but you'd like to see some more muscle up there, wouldn't you?
You'd like to see other guys at the top, but it does speak to his ability to get extra base hits. A lot of people only think slugging percentage pertains to home runs, but he hits triples and doubles as well.
And an occasional inside the park home run.
Yeah, and on the year for D, 20 doubles, 8 triples.
Logan Verrett, a 1-1 count. Gordon bounced out back in the first. Preston, what have you seen from Logan Verrett? Why is he giving Miami such a hard time tonight?
Of changing speeds. He'll pitch a fastball at 93, 94, then that changeup's at 83, 84. That's a 10 miles an hour differential, and it's given the Marlins hitters troubles.
Gordon slaps it up the middle. To his left is Flores, and safe is Gordon on an infield hit. So D. Gordon has a base hit. And a leadoff hit here in the fourth. That's the first hit against Verrett.
That's a good way to start things. Just a difficult play for any shortstop. Very close. And Flores knew he had to hurry.
Yep.
And he was safe.
Foot on the bag. And now Yelich. Yelich line to Uribe at second base, his first time up. Gordon back with a dive. 50 stolen bases for Gordon. Billy Hamilton is back and playing and is 6 bags ahead of D. With 3 weeks of baseball left. Has a healthy lead at first. Yelich trying to bunt, fouls it off.
Might have been one of those attempts on his own. I think he saw David Wright a few steps back. We've seen Yelich, Rich, a number of times this year take advantage of that hole over there with the runner on. He's been able to get a pitch, turn on it, pull it.
He does pull it, but to Uribe out there. Flores turn out there. Mets get the double play.
Well, you know what happens sometimes, you're thinking about that, and I like the fact that he's thinking about it, but it looked like Brett gave him a little two-seamer more away than a pitch that you could pull in that hole. He tried to pull it, but instead of to the hole, it goes to Uribe. Very nicely turned double play by Uribe and Flores.
So the only hit Miami has been erased. And here is Prado.
So Verrett has still faced just the minimum.
Quickly, it's 0-2. South Florida Honda dealers prepare you for Marlins Mets Game 2. Email, Twitter, Tuesday. Tom Kohler, Jacob deGrom, Carl Pavano joins Craig Minervini. That's tomorrow night. I think dinner will be pasta influenced with those two. Into left center. Lagares is there.
It's all about the sauce.
1-0 Mets. Visit your South Florida Chevy dealers today. And buy Checkers, epic meals, epic deals. Mets up 1-0. Love that time-lapsed camera. Citi Field, home of the Mets. Bottom four, Yoenis Cespedes, a solo homer in the third. Travis d'Arnaud, Michael Kadire, and Lucas Duda. So it's Kohler for Miami tomorrow. Adam Conley pitches on Wednesday. That is a Bartolo Colon start.
I think everybody remembers, Marlins fans, Mets fans, I'm sure remember the start that Colon had. Complete game.
There's Adam Conley. A chance to watch this Mets lineup, which might be similar to the one that he faces, facing the lefty Justin Nicolino.
I think it's good. A little difference in the way they pitch, but I think it's good to if you're a lefty, be able to see another left-hander pitch to the lineup. Good change up there. Last 6 starts. That's one thing you always look at for any pitcher, and especially a 23-year-old. Last 6 starts for Justin Nicolino, 2-2. Earned run average, 362.
Right back to him. And he'll flip it to first. If you hashtag your photo, FL Data Strong Fan, and your photo is of a strong fan, let me reword that. A strong fan photo or a strong fan. Either way, He may show up on the telecast. Tommy will be tweeting out all the fine print in between innings.
Of these strong fans.
Yes. Here is Kadire. Took a breaking ball and dribbled it Prado's way. There are 2 outs. One of the things the Mets have done really well this year is beat teams in the East. See the Mets box score, the Cespedes homer, the big hit tonight. The New York Mets, ladies and gentlemen, are 44-20 against the East. Against the Central, not so good, 9-20. Good against the West, 21-12, and a game under in interleague play. And the guy that has helped push that, all that success against the East, is pitching tomorrow night. I believe Bartolo Colon is like 13 or 14-1 against the National League East.
Colon on Wednesday.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I was into the Conley-Cologne matchup.
Yeah.
I roared right by.
Good symmetry to it.
Roared right by Kohler and DeGrom.
Well, the Mets have played extremely well at home too. Citi Field, they're 45-24.
Good scouting. Rojas to first in time to get Lucas Duda to the 5th in New York. 1-0 Mets. Geico Marlins moments. 93, Pirates 1, Marlins nada. Carlos Garcia's homer, the difference in the first rain-shortened game in Marlins history. That's hard to believe that it took that long for a rain-shortened game with all the rain that the Marlins used to get at the old football stadium.
It just tells you, Rich, there were a lot of long delays, and the games would resume. Because you know what? There was always a window.
That's true. Always a window. It might be out at Isla Mirada, but there is always a window. That's a low changeup, and Justin Bour, I don't know that he's at the point of his career where he can say something to Dan Iasonia. Just a grimace at this point. Maybe a few more years in, you earn the right to voice your displeasure. I mean, look at pitch number 1.
Wow.
That's clearly a ball, and here's his reaction. Do I say something?
Yeah, I better not say anything.
early in the at-bat. See him shake his head like, okay, all right. It's an off-speed pitch and lifts it in the air to right center. Lagares Kadir.
Marlins are going to have to make some adjustments now. You heard Preston talk about it. We talked about it earlier with the change-ups. Enough of a fastball. Verrett's not overpowering, but he has enough. And it seems like when he does use it, he stays inside.
Dietrich bounced to third. While the Mets are comfortably on top, their magic number, by the way, if you're into that kind of thing, is 11, and that's for the National League East title. Dietrich, a liner to right, it sinks and falls, and he has a hit, a one-out single. The National League Central has gotten real interesting, with Pittsburgh charging hard, 2.5 back behind St. Louis. Toyota Trend with JT Realmuto. Rookie hit streaks for catchers, all-time Marlins history. Rob Brantley had a 9-game streak in 2012. CJ on the list twice. And our good friend John Baker. If Realmuto gets a hit in this game, he'll sit with CJ at 10.
He struck out his first time up, but if you remember, he had a good at bat, fouled off a number of pitches, and appeared to really be picking up Verrett pretty well. Nationals, Rich, have kind of opened things up in Philadelphia. Back in his old stomping ground, Jason Worth has hit a grand slam. 6-2 Nationals in the 5th inning.
Well, we thought that really was going to mean something. That last series for both those teams.
They have a 4-game lead. It won't mean anything.
It's only 9.5 games right now. And you don't know that it's going to mean a lot in terms of the matchup and who the Mets might play. The Mets, I guess it could flip home field advantage one way or the other, but if the playoffs started right now, the Mets and the Dodgers would play. Realmuto hooks one into left field. That's a base hit. That's a 10-game hit streak for the Marlins rookie catcher.
Stayed back just enough with his hands to hit that changeup into left. Good pitch, too, by Verrett. It's actually off the plate.
Those are your longest current streaks.
That could be some pretty good pitching matchups. The Mets-Dodgers series.
Yes, it could, because the wild card game winner would play the division winner with the best record. And right now the best record is St. Louis. The Mets are, at a quick glance, 6.5 back Actually, 7 games back of the
I
Cardinals.
think the Dodgers would just be happy to play someone other than St. Louis.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a tough postseason matchup for him.
So did he go Greinke or Kershaw in Game 1?
I don't know. I mean, if you asked everybody on April 1st, it's no question. But the season that Greinke has had.
Greinke a winner last night, 17-3 and a 161 earned run average.
Who would you go with?
I think I'd go. Kershaw's been hot the second half. I think I'd go with Kershaw.
All right. That would leave the Cardinals to play the winner of the wild card game. And as we said, if it ended today, it's Pittsburgh at home against the Cubs. In that wild card game, it would be Pittsburgh's 3rd consecutive appearance in that win or go home scenario. Ichiro trots down to first. That's a walk. And the bags are loaded. So if the commissioner called everybody and said, all right, season's over, here's what you got. St. Louis winner of the Central. Dodgers win the West. Mets win the East. Cubs versus Pirates. Winner of that would get St. Louis. And at this point, the Dodgers, by percentage points, would have home field advantage in that NLDS matchup with New York.
And if you're the Cubs, you have the option of a more seasoned John Lester or an extremely hot Jake Arrieta.
Pittsburgh, a Garrett Cole start.
Garrett Cole. Interesting with Verrett coming into this inning, he'd thrown 4 innings, this being his 5th inning of work. In the 4 innings, 46 pitches, 37 strikes, only 9 balls. So he's wavered from that a little bit here in this inning.
Now, you talked about what to expect distance-wise from him. Has started, but has been in the pen as well. Rojas takes a strike.
Pitching the way he has and getting to this 5th inning, I'm sure Terry Collins is pleased.
Bases filled with Fish. Dietrich, Realmuto, and Ichiro. Little tapper out towards short. Flores has to play it over to first. Miami ties the game with Dietrich coming across. Rojas is out. He gets an RBI. And that'll bring Nicolino up. And we check back in with Preston Wilson, who's got a ground level view at Logan Verrett. What you see?
Well, I'm seeing over these last few innings, the velocity seems to be going down. Earlier in the game, he was being clocked at around 93, 94 miles an hour. Now I'm seeing 89, 88 miles an hour on the fastball. So I don't know if he's saving it or if he's just wearing down throughout this game.
And Preston, the key to that, when he was a little harder, the changeup was more effective because there was more difference.
I definitely think these hitters are being able to judge that changeup a little better, and I think you're right. There's less of a change in velocity.
Nicolino, a tapper out towards Uribe. He'll make the play, and the inning is over. But Miami gets a run and ties this game halfway through in New York. A 1-1 game. To by Clean, Crisp, Coors Light. Oldest to lead their team in games played since 1900. Look at the names on this.
That's pretty impressive.
Wagner, Rose, Darrell Evans, a Tiger in '88. Rabbit Moranville. Intro right now at 136 and counting.
You know, I don't know that much about Rabbit Moranville, but I hope he could run. Hope he can fly.
I think unless his name was Turtle, it's a pretty good bet he could scoop. That was an Entourage reference. Justin Nicolino.
The movie didn't get as good of reviews
with good reasons. Wilmer Flores. Logan Brett scheduled, however, he's at the end of his 5 innings. Eric Campbell's on deck. Juan Lagares. All scheduled against Justin Nicolino. Tommy, we need to do a little homework on Rabbit Moranville.
He is a Hall of Famer.
He was inducted in 1954.
I'm told not a big guy, so probably did run well.
5'5", 155. Wilmer Flores, foul ball. Pete Rose actually broke his record for most seasons in the National League with 23 by Rabbit Moranville. You know what, Tommy? We may not know a whole lot about Rabbit Moranville. I'll bet Ichiro does. He's been to the Hall of Fame.
He's been to the Hall of Fame more than I have.
Yes.
Probably more than you and I combined.
And knows a lot of those names that, I mean, let's face it, if you're Ichiro, every day you play in a major league game, you're coming close to somebody like Honus Wagner or Rabbit Moranville.
Rogers Hornsby.
And so Ichiro has gone out of his way to learn about these guys as he's paraded past them. Real Muto flips the mask back. Nice basket catch. And Flores is out.
Good pitch, too, by Nicolino to get in on the hands of Flores.
And here comes Eric Campbell.
No mistaking who that is over on the Met bench. See him tomorrow night, Jacob deGrom.
Has he been able to get any hair endorsements in New York? I thought for sure that he would be the next. Who was the safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Troy Polamalu.
He would be the next Polamalu for Head and Shoulders, right?
Well, you're right. If you're in New York and you're having a first couple of years, Rookie of the Year last year, a solid year this year, and you're not, then you better get another agent.
Campbell after that changeup, and it counts 2-2.
Tell you, Justin Nicolino continues to make good pitches. After the home run that Cespedes hit, he's retired 5 in a row.
Stays in 2 balls and 2 strikes. Campbell, Boston College product. Lines it to right. Ichiro sliding in a snow cone when he brought it up. All in a night's work. The most flexible man in baseball.
Without a doubt. Got a good jump, stayed with it, and just was able to hang on. Doesn't get it cleanly, but it stays in the webbing. Wow. Grace.
And a long, long glove. That thing is like a highlight. Cesta. Thank you for that, Crackstaff. 1-1. Parents, you can host your child's birthday party at a Marlins game. The Celebration Club Party or the Sea Creatures Birthday Bash. Enjoy an inclusive food package. Comes with birthday cupcakes for everyone. Available for groups of 20 or more. Marlins.com/groups. Call 1-877-MARLINS. The pitcher for the Mets, Sean Gilmartin.
Yeah, it's interesting. He appeared briefly in the first game of that series in Miami. He came on in relief of Jacob deGrom and faced D. Gordon and Christian Yelich. First two hitters he'll face here. They both got base hits.
D. Gordon, nice bunt, and the throw goes into right field. Gordon turns, stops, retreats, and gets back to first.
Good decision making. And a great bunt by D. Gordon. So D. Gordon with an infield hit and a bunt single.
Gordon beats it, but as he stops and comes back, he took a while after this and walked around first base, kind of flexing both legs. Not easy when you slam the brakes on like that. Here's Yelich. And Yelich takes outside. So Gordon has an infield hit and a bunt hit.
Leading the National League now is D. Gordon with 50 multi-hit games. And on the year now has 176.
Bryce Harper has 2 hits tonight. He's 2 for 3. Gordon is 2 for 3 as well. Harper is homered. That against Aaron Nola. And the Nationals are beating the Phillies. There goes Gordon, and he's got the bag. Number 51, 5 behind Billy Hamilton.
Good job by Christian Yelich taking the pitch all the way because he saw the jump D was able to get. Flores keeping the tag down there just in case.
1-1 to Yelich. The breaking ball misses away. Yeah, 6-2 Nationals in the bottom of the 6th in Philly.
Jordan Zimmerman throwing pretty well.
The other New York team is not faring well tonight. They are in St. Pete. The Rays and the Yankees are scoreless. It's bottom 6, so the Yankees have had 6 at bats, and they don't have a hit. Erasmo Ramirez, 6 strikeouts and a walk for the Rays. Two and 2 here.
Yankee fans are looking at it with the glass half full, though. CC Sabathia has gone 5 1/3 without giving up a run, giving up 3 hits.
Yankees 3.5 behind the Blue Jays starting play tonight.
See it, the Blue Jays playing.
I don't see the Blue Jay logo up on the scoreboard.
Idle.
They have a bye. A rare off day. Some intrigue in the American League wild card race.
And a really good matchup in Texas, in Arlington.
Yelich lifts one to left, fairly deep. Cespedes back. He has a rocket for an arm. And so D. Gordon isn't budging from second.
Well, he went back to tag, but he realized right away that it was Cespedes out there.
Well, the Mets aren't going to deal with Prado. They want Gil Martin to face the lefty in Justin Bour. It's a 1-1 ball game here.
Well, and also you have Bour and you have Dietrich, so you have back-to-back lefties.
Yeah, the matchup you talked about in Houston, or rather in Arlington. Why did I just name every city in Texas?
It's between Dallas and Fort Worth.
I know. In the Metroplex tonight, it's 1-1, Houston and Texas in that one. Cole Hamels against Scott Kazmir.
Yeah, a couple of mid-season acquisitions by each club.
First and second, here comes Bour. Those are the splits. He has yet to homer against a lefty. Texas is the second wild card team in the American League behind the Yankees. Minnesota a game back. Angels 3 back. Cleveland is 4.5 back. And Cleveland's beaten Kansas City tonight 4-1 midway through. All right, Bour takes a strike. right on the black. Gordon and Prado with one out on the bases.
Let's see if that was just a show-me fastball, and if he comes back with that breaking ball again.
Gordon is running, and Bohr pops it up. D has to head back to second. The ball is over the screen.
He did not come back with the breaking ball. Justin Bohr got another fastball.
He had a great jump and would have had the bag stolen.
That's a reverse pop-up slide. You pop up and go put it in reverse and go back to second.
Much easier on the body than trying to stop it on your feet. Boy, that bat just flinched on Bohr's shoulder.
And Gilmartin actually made the pitch, went to the plate with Flores, the shortstop, at second base. He had gone over in behind D. Gordon.
That's a great look. Bohr to right. Kadire over. Gordon tags on his way to third.
Sounded like he got it on the end of the bat a little bit.
Up to Dietrich now to try to keep the inning going or drive in this run. Big breaking ball for a strike to Dietrich. Gordon discussing with Lance Barrett that pop-up slide. Of course, if Gordon had slid and taken a step on the home plate side, he would have had to retouch on his way back to second. But he hit it solid and went straight back.
Barrett saying, yep, you're all right. That was good.
David Wright just out of his reach.
David Wright saying, no help over here, fellas. They're saying, yeah, that's right.
Lined into center field. That's a base hit. Gordon will score, and Derek Dietrich got a hanger and punished it.
Yeah, the breaking ball that Gilmartin throws is more of a curveball. He's thrown some pretty good ones, but that one he floated up, and it was a nice area for Derek Dietrich, who stayed back on it well. There it is. It was off the plate, but it was a hanger. If it's down, it's a lot tougher, but a good job by Dietrich. Second hit of the night puts the Marlins ahead.
Realmuto fouls it off. JT singled in the fifth. Extends his hit streak to 10. Well, the Mets intentionally walked Prado, remember, to set up the next two lefty bats. Bohr hit a fly ball out, but Dietrich hurts Gil Martin with an RBI single.
Matching Charles Johnson for the longest hitting streak for a Marlin rookie catcher.
Up and in. Speaking of hurt, Cody Ashe, a 3-run homer, and the Phillies have tied the Nationals 6-6.
Oh, wow. Ashe hit a big walk-off the other night.
That's right. He's not due for another walk-off for another year.
Yeah.
Same date, a year apart, a pair of walk-offs. That pop-up, d'Arnaud will chase to the screen.
Yeah, I think the walk-off the other night was against the Cubs. And last year on the same date was against the Marlins.
Terry Collins trying to get Gil Martin through this inning. First and second. That is into left field. A base hit by Real Muto. Prado will come home. Not a thing of beauty, but for Real Muto, it's an RBI hit and a 3-1 lead. Even Real Muto knows it with a smile at first.
I tell you what, both base hits though by JT tonight. One on a changeup that he really stayed back on. Watch where this curveball is. Might have been the changeup, well off the plate, but he stays back. If you're fooled, if your body's out front, if you still have the hands to use, you can get to that pitch. Great hitting by Real Muto.
Ichiro pulls on, just wide of the bag at first. So the Marlins a couple of 2-out hits, both on off-speed pitches. Dietrich and Real Muto,
both by young hitters.
Lefty bats all of a sudden have hurt Gil Martin. He's got another one here with Ichiro. Lefties are 4 for the last 6 against him. That from our baseball research department. John Chimchuk at the controls of that tonight.
Well, we talked about Gil Martin's outing in Miami, facing D. Gordon and Yelich. Each got base hits.
Up and into Ichiro. A strike. Marlins have been up for a while. 16 minutes on the clock right now for Justin Nicolino. The good news is his team's up 3-1. He's going to have to figure out how to recapture that rhythm. Ichiro right center field. That's hit pretty well. Kadire is there and makes the catch and ends the inning. But Miami gets a pair of 2-out hits. Derek Dietrich, JT Realmuto. It's a 3-1 ball game. in Flushing, Citi Field. Marlins, Mets. JT Realmuto, Derek Dietrich with 2 out hits. From a 1-1 game to a 3-1 Miami lead. Preston Wilson is with us at 9 o'clock here in the East. Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz, and Justin Nicolino. David Wright, Yoenis Cespedes, and Juan Uribe. 77 pitches in is Justin Nicolino.
Nicely done, because this extremely important for Nicolino this inning, and he has some tough hitters to face, but getting right on one pitch certainly helps.
Well, the toughest of the hitters is now Yoenis Cespedes. He's been so hot and so good. He's been a really good player in the big leagues for some time. Preston Wilson, as you've watched him since he became a Met, what has impressed you the most?
What's impressed me is the way the rest of the team has gravitated towards him. He's always been a big RBI, big hit type of guy. Even when he hasn't had big averages, he's gotten the big hit. But you see the rest of this team gel around him, and he's the focal point right now, but everybody else is carrying their weight as well.
I remember Bob Melvin, the Oakland Athletics manager, talking about Cespedes just before Oakland traded him to Boston. And that's one of the things that he said, Preston, was exactly what you said. He was such a presence in that Oakland lineup. He was such a guy that everybody in the clubhouse gravitated to, followed, both defensively. He had some great throws from the outfield, and offensively, he was a centerpiece of their offense. And man, did their season fizzle once he left. Swing and a miss.
And Rich and Preston, it just makes you think, and we all know what a difference the Marlins lineup is when Giancarlo Stanton's in it.
Cespedes also has this thing where no moment is too big for him. Even when he was in the home run derby, he won that. He gets these big at-bats in the games, and he doesn't shy away. He always comes up big.
Preston, do you think that comes from his days playing in Cuba in the Serie Nacional, which is such a competitive league, or was, with all those stars in it?
I think the earlier you're exposed to pressure situations, the more you're able to process it and handle it. And I look at him in some of these at-bats, and this looks like he has a resting heartbeat of about 5.
That's a great observation. There's an art form to that, trying to get that heartbeat down. Some guys can do it a lot easier than others. And Nicolino gets the strikeout of Cespedes.
Talked about Nicolino not being a swing and miss guy, but he got ahead. He got a couple of strikes on Cespedes, who is a free swinger, and got him to chase that changeup in the dirt.
And I guess that 17, 18-minute layoff didn't affect him.
Not at all. And you talk about 3 tough outs. He got David Wright, he got Cespedes. Now here's another veteran hitter in Juan Uribe.
Uribe's line to center and bounced out. And he's got extra bases. Into the corner goes Dietrich. Uribe, his speed days have long since passed. So that's a double.
I know with our conversation in Miami with Terry Collins, the Mets manager, he spoke of Uribe and how he has been in the clubhouse with the young players, getting them thinking about postseason.
Here is d'Arnaud. Uribe's been in a lot of postseasons. 2 world championship rings, 1 with the White Sox, 1 with the Giants. d'Arnaud tonight singled and bounced out. That has been a great pitch for Nicolino all night long.
And it's been great because it's been down most of the time.
Kyle Barraclough. That one's hit deep. Right center field. Yelich looks. And it's tied. In his last 8 games, d'Arnaud has driven in 9 runs.
Well, we've talked about a number of players, and there are many, and it's one of the reasons the Mets have played the way they have. We also talked about Nicolino keeping his pitches down. That was not down, and d'Arnaud didn't waste any time.
To Dyer with 2 outs. There's not much you can do these days to kill the Mets. I mean, even on that road trip, time and time they were coming from behind every night. The Mets have been one of the best come from behind teams in baseball. 3rd most in the majors, 37 of those comeback wins. And since August 1st, the best in baseball, 15 of them.
You talked about the Mets, Rich, and the way they've come from behind, played well latter innings. They've scored 3 or more runs from the 7th inning or later, and we're only in the 6th inning now. 3 or more runs from the 7th inning or later in their last 7 games.
To Dyer to right, Ichiro has an inning over, but Travis d'Arnaud ties it up. His 12th, 3-3. Got a watch party coming up, the Carolina Ale House in Weston on Tuesday. That would be tomorrow. Marlins and Mets, 7:10 start. Tickets, Billy, Energy Team, all of that stuff, specials on Modelo Especial. And Kelly Sackle will be there with the camera, so you might get yourself on television as well. Marlins.com for more information. Say hi to Kelly for us. Let's check in with Preston Wilson. Press?
Guys, you talked about the come from behind victories. Part of that may be due to the atmosphere here in this ballpark especially. I was talking to David Wright on the field, and he was like, this place has been a madhouse. I spoke to Tim Tuffle as well, and he actually harkened back to the days of the 1986 Mets across the street in Shea Stadium, and he said this atmosphere is a lot like that.
How about you, Preston? Because you were in and around those days. What was it like back in the 86?
It's definitely approaching that. You're starting to hear that excitement on a nightly basis. It's not just a weekend thing. It's an every night thing. They're drawing a lot of fans here. And I was here in 86 as a kid. I was here in 2006 when the Cardinals came to play the Mets, and it was just as loud.
It was just as loud. It had a different ending, though, in 06. That was, an Adam Wainwright breaking ball that froze Carlos Beltran with the final out.
Wainwright working out of the bullpen.
Well, I think that may give these young Mets pitchers something to think back on, because some people say those postseason moments are too big for young pitchers. That's an example that it's not.
Rojas up here. Hansel Robles takes over for Sean Gilmartin. Pitcher spot due up next, Tomas Talis. Robles falls behind 2-1.
I think there was a time a little earlier in the season, but when the Mets were on a nice run, that I remember reading or hearing that for the first time Citi Field kind of took on the feel of Shea Stadium. Didn't have that.
You and I remarked the last time we were in here was the...
Maybe you said it.
I did. I said it was the first time that it felt like Shea. There were big crowds here. That's David Wright, and that's robbery. Rojas hit it right on the button.
Well, that's robbery of extra bases, too. Miguel Rojas would have ended up at second base. Well-timed leap by David Wright, the captain, and puts it away.
Talis figures the last couple have been out there, and he was in protect mode. Robles has been good for the Mets lately, for sure, even though his ERA is 3.5. Just one earned run his last 9 1/3.
Talis had a pinch hit the other day against Washington. That was in the Jose Fernandez game.
That was almost extra bases. In St. Pete, Erasmo Ramirez is still no-hitting the Yankees. He's through 7 innings, has walked 2, struck out 6. He's thrown 88 pitches. The problem is that CC Sabathia is shutting out the Rays. It's scoreless going to that bottom of the 7th. First guy you think of is Henderson Alvarez. He was in that unique spot at the end of 13 against the Tigers, having thrown 9 innings of no-hit ball, but didn't have his no-hitter until a run scored on a wild pitch. With Alvarez on deck in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs.
Yes, Sabathia has only given up 3 hits.
Here, a 1-1 game. The Marlins took a 3-1 lead with 2 runs in the top of the 6th inning, and the Mets matched it in the bottom half. Justin Nicolino saw Travis d'Arnaud hit a 2-run homer. He got him right on the elbow. He checked his swing, and in the process of checking his swing, the ball glanced off that elbow or forearm.
That's a nice at bat from Tomas Telis. He fouled off a number of pitches. And he starts to go after this one.
Telis, there was no argument from d'Arnaud. There was no hesitation from Dan Iasonia. Let's listen, because that's what the umpire's basing it on. Yeah, you could hear the little tick before the pop of the glove.
You know, it's funny. It was really hard to see.
It was.
But you could hear it.
Now D. Gordon. Gordon a couple hits tonight. Robles gets that outside corner. Gillespie at first. And the pitch misses in. Eric O'Flaherty. Bear claw in the pen. .176 hits, ties his career high. Reached that mark last year, an all-star season with the Dodgers, another all-star season with Miami. Yelich waiting. Almost looked like Gordon got a piece of that when it was in the glove.
Yeah, that's a late protection swing. He's trying to stay alive.
Robles going after that outside corner. Gordon protecting it. 1 out, top 7. In a 3-3 ball game. Both teams have 6 hits. Logan Verrett started for the Mets. 5 innings, a run. Sean Gilmartin gave up 2 in the 6th. Justin Nicolino went 6 innings, 3 runs on 6 hits.
like D. Gordon's starting to, if he continues to get the same pitch, is starting to really time Robles in his pitches. Martin Prado on that list. Not that one.
Robles the strikeout. Here comes Yelich.
Kind of a backup slider, 85 miles an hour.
All right, O'Flaherty is up. But remember, he did not have a good outing against Miami down in Miami. He may have been up if, say, Gordon reached to pitch to Yelich, or if the inning progresses to pitch to Bohr and Dietrich.
Flaherty hasn't had many good outings, period.
No, it's been a tough go for him. Yeah, he's got a fastball, and he knew he missed it. Flipped the bat. Cespedes makes the catch. And Miami strands a runner. 7th inning stretch in New York, 3-3. Inning stretch at Citi Field. Always a good time. So far for the Met fans, this has been such a great renaissance as the Mets are steaming towards their first postseason. 2006. They've already clinched a winning season.
I think I was reading today, Rich, even their skipper Terry Collins, not surprised, but didn't expect the Mets to be in this position at this time. I think he certainly expected improvement. Of course, he didn't know what was going to happen with the Nationals, but certainly didn't expect to have a 9.5 game lead at this time.
Lucas Duda, Wilmer Flores, and the pitcher spot. I think Terry Collins had a lot of company in June, even early July. But that's when the Nationals first started showing signs of vulnerability, and the Mets started to get hot. Sandy Alderson and the Mets front office tried the best they could to add a big piece, and they thought they had it with Carlos Gomez. Wilmer cried. Gomez took that photo on the, I believe it was on the team plane.
His teammates with Milwaukee sending him off, wishing him well.
Right. But it all fell apart.
Good slider, and we've seen Kyle Bearclaw throw a lot of good sliders, a lot of terrific fastballs as well. Just go back his last 5 outings. He's given up 1 run, and that was unearned.
That's a fastball at 96. Lucas Duda goes down looking.
I think if you look at the ball game yesterday, because the Nationals had somewhat of an early lead, and Dan Jennings had to go to the bullpen, Urania, Rienzo, and McGuff, and so the guys he likes to use in these close games he has available.
Bearclaw misses outside.
So Bearclaw's rested. Ellington, Mike Dunn.
Since Bearclaw was called up, this is his 18th game. Hitters are hitting .095 against him. That's best in baseball.
And it's starting to become a really good sample size too, with the work that he's getting. Bearclaw appearing in his 18th ball game, 18 innings so far.
Tommy, no hitter. Carlos Beltran breaks it up. Still no score though. Yankees and Rays top 8. So Beltran a single to lead off the 8th for the Yankees. CC Sabathia has limited the Rays to just 4 hits. Here a 3-3 ball game. Wilmer Flores. Flores walks.
Well, let's see how this pitch missed, or if it did, may have caught a little bit of the zone. Remember, there was a pitch earlier tonight that was much lower, called a strike. This is where it gets tough, and where Terry Collins can unload some real quality veteran hitters off his bench. Also a speedy runner in Eric Young Jr. pinch running.
And Young can run.
Well, first out of the chute is Curtis Granderson.
And he's running. Real Muto's throw is high. I don't know that he had a shot to get him anyways.
I don't think he did.
Boy, Young looks like over the last inning or two he's been sprinting and stretching and getting ready, because he was fired out of a cannon coming off the bench. First pitch and he was gone.
Just tremendous acceleration. And yeah, he was certainly loose and had plenty of notice that he might pinch run. So Collins had his choice of Murphy, Granderson, maybe Conforto, Neuenhuis, Kelly Johnson. Since August 1st, Curtis Granderson, a .272 average, 7 home runs and 28 RBIs. So he's been another productive hitter. A good change up there.
Two 1 coming. It's like Michael Conforto on deck. Here's a 3-1. Count full. Eric Young Jr. at second. Curtis Granderson. Holds up on the breaking ball, and he walks. Chuck Hernandez, nobody throwing in Miami's pen. That may change here in a second. He's on his way out to the mound. Chevron, bring it on. Tom Kohler, Jacob deGrom. That's the matchup tomorrow night here at Citi Field. We'll start it at 6:30 with Marlins Live. Hernandez, Bearclaw, and Real Muto. Brian Ellington in Miami's pen. You talked about all the quality bats, arms, and in Young's case, legs that Terry Collins has to choose from. Here's another one. This is not Juan Lagares. This is Michael Conforto.
And the list goes on and on about guys that have been hot since the beginning of August. For Conforto, a .305 average, 7 home runs, 19 RBI since that time. So at quick glance, reading headlines, it's Yoenis Cespedes that's doing it all. But when you go deeper into the story, it's all these other guys as well.
It is. And Granderson and Conforto are in that group, certainly. Back foot swing. Trying to lift an off-speed pitch. It's 0-2. Plenty of nice moments for this rookie. There's Daniel Murphy, who had a big home run in yesterday's ball game. 0-2. It's down low.
Hanging around the batting cage today, talking with Tim Tuffle, big part of that '86 Met championship team and third base coach for the Mets. He was comparing Conforto's power to Lucas Duda.
That one almost took Tom Goodwin with it.
Still has some of that quickness left.
Dramatic moments in this one. The Cespedes homer to give the Mets the lead. The Marlins tying it and then taking the lead on hits by Derek Dietrich and JT Real Muto. And then Darno's home run, the 2-run shot to tie it at 3. And here's Conforto with the count 2-2. Popped him up. Bohr approaches. Barraclough exits. Infield fly. I got a question for you. This is an interesting one. On that ball right there, that infield fly, everybody loves hustle. Should Conforto even run down to first? Because I've heard managers and coaches tell their hitters not to run, because when they do, they confuse the base runners, because he's out immediately.
I think most base runners in this instance.
And he didn't run.
Yeah, you don't really need to, because most base runners will hear the umpire make the call. Infield fly.
And Conforto, you could see him stop about 30 feet up the line. David Wright. Fastball up and in.
One thing we've seen in Barraclough, he's come through in some situations where there has been some pressure on him. This is a little bit of one of those here, and we've seen him come through and make some good pitches.
This is where sometimes a young reliever like Barraclough gets tested in this type of situation more than a young starter. Right to center and deep. Yelich going back, looking, can't get it. It bounces up over the wall, and it's a ground rule double. The Mets are going to get just the one run out of this. But they have the lead, and David Wright with his second double.
If you throw that fastball and it has a little something on it, which Barraclough does, to David Wright, you've got to just crowd him in a little bit. But let's see where it is. It's up, it's out over the plate. And in that area, David Wright can get good extension and get this ball to carry. That ball carried very well.
Cespedes up, and Miami won't pitch to him. We got Uribe on deck. He's doubled. I don't know if Barraclough will face him.
Boy, you got to be careful. He didn't miss by much on that pitch.
No, this is not something Barraclough looks real comfortable doing.
Fans have taken to Juan Uribe as well.
32 pitches. Ellington's ready in the pen. And Barraclough misses away with a breaking ball.
Of his outings, for Barraclough over the last few weeks. This is probably the least sharper that we've seen him.
Mets all around. 1-1 Uribe. He got in on him with a fastball.
I was just thinking, yeah, all-stars all around the infield with Granderson and Wright, Cespedes on the bases for the Mets.
To the screen, and it bounces right back. And Real Muto quickly gets back to the plate.
Granderson knows this ballpark, and he knows how quickly a ball can rebound that way. Starts a couple of quick steps and then sees JT hustle it down.
You know, in any ballpark, you just never know with signs and the wall exposed. Kyle Barraclough has thrown 37 pitches.
Wow.
We're in the bottom of the 7th.
And he's going to have to throw one really good one here.
He got him. Real Muto has to step on the plate as he digs it out of the dirt. Uribe strikes out, but the Mets on a David Wright double have taken the lead. To the 8th, 4-3 New York. T-Mobile presents the Data Strong Fan of the Game. If you've hashtagged your photo, FL Data Strong Fan, you could be just like Jose. Way to go. Oh, it's not Jose, it's Tina. Way to go, Tina.
Well, we have a few changes here for the Mets.
A few.
Addison Reed is the new pitcher. Got a new double play combination with the pinch hitters, with the players that Terry Collins used. At second base is the veteran Kelly Johnson. Ruben Tejada comes in to play short. Remember, Conforto pinch hit. He stays in, goes to left, and moving into center is Cespedes.
Nice work in the truck. Nice work with all the cameras. It's like a line change in hockey. Here is Prado. And they came out of the dugout, not over the boards.
Over the boards.
Justin Bohr, Derek Dietrich in the 8th. And Reed fires in a strike. Prado 0 for 2 with an intentional walk mixed in. Marlins don't have an extra base hit in their 6. That's a pop-up. Nice catch there by Kelly Johnson.
How about that? Just came into the game and had to race into shallow right field, foul territory, and Kelly Johnson, the veteran, able to stay with it. This is a play he knows Duda's not going to get there. He calls him off and makes the grab.
Justin Bour now against Addison Reed. Bour fouls that one off. Marlins pen. Morris and Ellington. Now you could hear it and see it get a big piece of Dan Iasonia. Yeah, Iasonia said, hey, I'm good, man. You don't need to. Don't give me that courtesy. I'm all right.
There will be a time when I'll need it, but I don't need it right now.
Don't cash that in yet. One and two.
That's still a 6-6 ball game in Philadelphia. Nationals and Phillies.
That 3-run homer by Cody Ashe, he tied it midway through. It's out. Reed wanted it. Crowd wanted it. Way outside. Remember, it's an offset camera out in center field, so you don't get the true straight-on look. And that was an offset breaking ball that Bour went fishing for. Bour asking that if the home plate umpire, Dan Iasonia, thought he tipped it. No tip. 2 outs. Here's Dietrich. Couple hits for Dietrich. What, Addison Reed looks good.
Yeah, he does. He's throwing hard. Made a couple of good pitches. Good breaking ball to strike out Justin Bour. Good night for Derek Dietrich. A couple of hits, RBI, a run scored. He's done a nice job. Last 9 games saw a note against the Mets. With his 2 hits tonight, last 10 games now, he's right around 380.
Tejada into the game. Duda saves him. And it's 1-2-3 for Addison Reed in the 8th. Brian Ellington, the second out of the bullpen. Now Barraclough worked the 7th, a long inning for Barraclough. And Ellington arrives here in the 8th. Marcelo Zuna is in center. Christian Yelich slides over to left. Warren Henry drive of the game. This is a big one against Justin Nicolino. A 2-run shot. Travis d'Arnaud, it tied the game at 3.
Couple of home runs. The Mets against Justin Nicolino, Yoenis Cespedes, and that big one by d'Arnaud.
He makes the catch. Ellington gets an out. Here comes Kadire, and here comes a reminder that MLB.com app bats for all your devices, tablet, phone, watch. And that's what you can do with it. You can watch in high definition Major League Baseball, keep up to date on all the scores, and in the postseason, all the games, all the pitching matchups, all the late breaking news with alerts.
Just think, years ago, you had to wait till the box scores came out, or you had to wait till the sporting news came out.
Or you had to smuggle a transistor into school with that little white plug in your ear.
Now you can get it just like that.
Now you can hide your tablet in your desk.
Or in your ear.
Look out for in your ear, kid. Here's a 2-0 to Kadire. Kadire 0 for 3 in this one. To right, Ichiro. Plenty of room. And Ellington's got 2 outs. Lucas Duda coming up. So the no-hitter was lost for Erasmo Ramirez. However, the Rays have a run and a 1-0 lead over the Yanks in the 9th. Nationals and Phillies are 9-9. Or excuse me, are 6-6 in the bottom of the 9th. Duda flips it to left. Yelich makes the catch. 9th inning coming up. Citi Field. Mets 4, Marlins 3.
and by Kubota. For more information, to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubota.dealers.com. Well, in New York, the Mets are the talk of the town. With all the come-from-behind magic they've had, they've done it again tonight. At least they've come from behind and have the lead. Their closer, Juris Familia, is on. The ERA at 1.66, and Miami is down a run.
Well, you see the 40 saves. Tell you a little bit about that. One more change that the Mets have made. Kirk Neuenhuis comes in. He's in right field. But in all their history, the Mets have had just 2 previous pitchers save 40 or more games prior to Familia saving his 40th. Billy Wagner and Armando Benitez.
Really? You would have sworn John Franco was on that list.
I would guess Franco probably had a 40 save season with Cincinnati. But you're right, I would have guessed him.
Real Muto takes a strike. Ichiro and then Miguel Rojas. Slow hopper, and Real Muto out by a couple steps. Billy Johnson getting the out. Rand Eye Vision Cam gives you a look at Ichiro defensively. This is one of the better defensive plays of the night. Watch the ball almost get out of that long glove. Keep your eye on the ball. Randeye.com/Lasix.
My mother used to tell me that when I left the house as a little kid to play ball.
Don't be late for dinner.
But keep your eye on the ball first. John Franco had 8 seasons of 30 or more saves, but never had 40.
Wow. One ball, one strike. Checkers presents Marlins Live. Preston Wilson live here. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano in studio. Ichiro started his swing and his move forward, and then had to dart out of the way.
There are a lot of moving parts to Ichiro's swing and his approach. You probably wouldn't teach it. I mean, his feet move a lot. He doesn't really stay still in the batter's box.
I'm not sure where, but somewhere this year I was talking with a young Japanese hitter who grew up idolizing Ichiro. Kind of had his stance before. I said, hey, did you copy his swing? And he looked at me like I was crazy and said, you can't copy that. And he said, maybe his start where he puts the bat out, that right arm straight. But after that, he said, no, that's hard. You just can't copy that. And he swings and misses there, and Familia has 2 outs here in the 9th.
Well, Familia on a roll right now, just making good pitch after good pitch. Gets Ichiro to chase this pitch out of the zone.
So it's Rojas, and if he reaches, Ozuna. Rojas is line to third, line to center, and knocked in a run with a ground ball out.
Yeah, he was robbed by David Wright back in the 7th inning with that line drive to third.
David Wright. The magic number for the New York Mets, amazing as it sounds, is down to 10. Yoenis Cespedes, another homer, another come-from-behind win. 83-61. The Mets have won 8 in a row. We'll wrap it up when we return.